Donald Trump's speech in Saudi Arabia was so bad, he was putting to sleep his own cabinet members. Look, you have Secretary of State Marco Rubio falling asleep, Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent falling asleep as Donald Trump's speech dragged on, and he talked about how much better he likes Saudi Arabia than the United States. Trump's like, America's hot. America's so hot, but Saudi Arabia is like hotter. I kid you not. That's what Donald Trump talked about. And then, of course, earlier, Donald Trump was falling asleep when he arrived in Saudi Arabia. And then he had to be like shepherded where to go because he kept on going in the wrong direction and he needed assistance, like moving to where he had to sit. I'll show you all of that in a moment. But let's go through some of these humiliating and embarrassing lowlights. And when I show these to you, I just want you to think, how would corporate news treat this if this was former President Biden or Obama or somebody else? The corporate news still to this day is talking about Biden. Talk about Trump's crimes, Trump's bribes, and also look at this bizarre behavior. So first, let me show you Secretary of State Marco Rubio just trying to stay awake, but he can't. Here, play this clip.
Investments have been announced or are coming just since the election on November 5th. So think of that in a very short period of time.
Next up, you have Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent appearing to be sleeping as Trump's speech drags on. Play this clip.
The whole world watching when Saudi Arabia joins us, and you'll be greatly honoring me, and you'll be greatly honoring all of those people that have fought so hard for the Middle East. And I really...
Now, long shot here of Rubio and Bessent fighting for their lives as Trump drones on and on and on. Hat tip Rupert there. Play this clip.
But they understand, and we're doing what a lot of smart people would do. And we're not necessarily being politically correct. You saw what we did yesterday with healthcare. We've cut our healthcare by 50 to 90%.
But you know who loved this, MBS? Because Trump was like, you're so hot, MBS. You're so hot. Saudi Arabia's so hot. Better than the U.S. I want you to see what went down here. Here's when Donald Trump in the speech says, America's so hot, but Saudi Arabia, you're hotter. You're hotter. Here, play this clip.
We are rocking. The United States is the hottest country, with the exception of your country, I have to say, right? I'm not going to take that on. No, Mohammed, I'm not going to take that on. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing if I made that full statement? But I will not do it. You're hotter. At least as long as I'm up here, you're hotter. But groceries, gasoline.
What the hell is going on right there? I'll just rewind a little bit too and show you a confused Trump walking to the opposite side of the room he was in before the speech. And he needed a guide to move him to where he was supposed to be seated, and this guide was like looking out for him throughout the day. Over here, Donald. Over here, Donald. Here, play this clip.
Signing on behalf of the United States, the Honorable Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America.
Here Donald Trump was falling asleep during his meeting with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Play this clip.
Read a lot of the material now out of Saudi Arabia, and Mohammed bin Salman is saying we need a resolution on a Palestinian state. And I don't necessarily recall several years ago, pre-October 7th, as that being a demand that he had necessarily stated publicly. Do you think his position has changed? Or do you think the way he has expressed himself has that?
So next up, Donald Trump brags about a $1 trillion defense budget. Great work, Doge. I'm being sarcastic, of course. He goes, I hate to have to do it, but it's $1 trillion now, the defense budget. Play this clip.
For their sins, they loved using our very powerful military, and now it's really the most powerful it's ever been. We just are getting a budget approved, $1 trillion, highest budget we've ever had in history for military, $1 trillion. And we're getting the greatest missiles, the greatest weapons. And, I hate to do it, but you have to do it because we believe in peace through strength. You have to have
All right, so we have fired our veterans. We've gutted the Department of Education. We've gutted Consumer Protection and the FAA and all these other government agencies. We've taken away people's Medicaid. We are shutting down Social Security offices, but we are making a $1 trillion defense budget so Donald Trump can also give weapons to Saudi Arabia, so that Donald Trump can get gifts from the Middle East countries who give him bribes. Yeah, Donald Trump gets bribes. Let's call him what this is. Not even emoluments. They're bribes. Okay. I'm sick of people calling them emolument clause. Bribes from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, from United Arab Emirates, and Syria getting in on the action as well. And I showed you the clip, right, of Donald Trump talking about the $1 trillion budget. All right, next up, I'll show you right here, Donald Trump ordering no more sanctions on Syria after Syria's new president pitches Trump Tower Damascus. Let's play it.
Yeah, they've had their share of travesty war, killing many years. That's why my administration has already taken the first steps toward restoring normal relations between the United States and Syria for the first time in more than a decade. And I'm very pleased to announce that Secretary Marco Rubio will be meeting with the new Syrian foreign minister in Turkey later this week. And very importantly, after discussing the situation in Syria with the Crown Prince, your Crown Prince, and also with President Erdogan of Turkey, who called me the other day and asked for a very similar thing, among others, and friends of mine, people that I have a lot of respect for in the Middle East. I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince.
Now, the typical con artist, fraud, felon that Donald Trump is, here he now lies in his speech. He goes, I just cut healthcare costs by 50 to 90%. This is what he tells the crowd in Saudi Arabia. Play this clip.
We're doing what a lot of smart people would do, and we're not necessarily being politically correct. You saw what we did yesterday with healthcare. We've cut our healthcare by 50 to 90%. You're going to see drugs and pharmaceuticals come down at numbers that nobody has ever seen. And drugs, pharmaceuticals, we think will be dropping. And it will be a redistribution of costs with other nations, which really took advantage of a very nice group of people that ran our country.
And here's the thing, the MAGA mush brain followers of his, how do you believe that? You think your healthcare costs have gone down 50 to 90% because of anything that Donald Trump did? Trump signed an unlawful executive order setting price controls rather than actually doing the things you need to do to lower healthcare costs, which is what former President Biden was doing, like having the government negotiate to lower the costs of Medicare. That's why prescription drug prices under former President Biden declined. Donald Trump signing an executive order, which does not have the effect of law, does not accomplish anything, but he's a scam artist. So I showed you that clip, right? All right, next, Donald Trump then says, we let other people tariff us, so now we're tariffing them. So after Donald Trump capitulates to China after Donald Trump caves to China and withdraws his 145% tariffs against China after saying that was going to make America so rich. Now Donald Trump is saying that we're out there tariffing people. Oh, you're so strong, Donald. Here, play this clip.
There's never been anything like it. And we let other people tariff us into losing a lot of money and a lot of jobs, and now we're tariffing them, and it's at a level that nobody's seen. It's a level that is making us a very much different country and a very different Republican Party. We won.
By the way, the 30% tariff that Donald Trump has on Canada, that's a 30% tax on American consumers. Like, what the hell are we doing here? But Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about the American people as long as he's getting gold-plated jets from Qatar. You know, he's a happy guy. And here's Donald Trump's knowledge about what's going on in the Middle East with Iran. Donald Trump's like, you know, Saudi Arabia, you're hot. You're hot. Hotter than America. We're hot. You're hotter. But Iran, they want to call it the Gulf of Iran, and I want to call it the Gulf of Arabia. Here, play this clip.
Beyond, there could be no sharper contrast with the path you have pursued on the Arabian Peninsula than the disaster unfolding right across in the Gulf of Iran. Think of that. They wanted to name it that. I said, they're not going to let them do that. Do you mind if I stop that? I stopped it. We're not going to let that happen.
And as I said at the outset of this video, imagine for a moment that this was a speech given by anyone else other than Donald Trump. How do you think people would be reacting to that? You tell me. You tell me. Here's Donald Trump on the Houthies. Play this clip.
But we had 52 days of thunder and lightning like they've never seen before. This was a swift, ferocious, decisive, and extremely successful use of military force. Not that we wanted to do it, but they were shooting down ships. They were shooting at you. They were shooting at Saudi Arabia. We don't want them shooting at Saudi Arabia, if that's okay.
Again, he has no clue what the hell is even going on. They were shooting you. They were being bad. Donald Trump, you praised the Houthis last week. You said they were brave and courageous people. And you said that you admired them and you entered into a ceasefire with them. And by the way, they were part of they shot down 7 or 8 Reaper drones. We lost 2 F-18s, but you know, no one other than the MeidasTouch network continues to talk about that. No, whatever. They go, great trade deal with China, Donald Trump. You're the arsonist who barely put out your fire. Good work, Donald. It's like a seal at like SeaWorld. Some good job. Whoa, give him a clap. Give him an anchovy or whatever they feed him. Who knows? Donald Trump then continues to glaze MBS. No greater partner than you, MBS. Here, play this clip.
I can say partners worldwide. One of our great partners, no matter who we look to. And we have great partners in the world. But we have none stronger and nobody like the gentleman that's right before me. He's your greatest representative. Greatest representative. And if I didn't like him, I'd get out of here so fast. You know that, don't you? He knows me well. I do. I like him a lot. I like him too much. That's why we give so much, you know? Too much. I like you too much. Great guy. They lifted.
Then Donald Trump's view of solving the tensions between or the war footing between Pakistan and India. Donald Trump is, let's just get him in. Maybe they'll eat food together, Marco. Let's have them eat food. Here, play this clip.
So hard. Marco, stand up. What a great job you did on that. Thank you, J.D. Vance. Marco. The whole group worked with you, but it was a great job. And I think they're actually getting along. Maybe we can even get them together a little bit, Marco, where they go out and have a nice dinner together. Wouldn't that be nice? But we've come a long way, and it could be, you know, millions of people could have died from that conflict that started off small and was getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the day.
And after Donald Trump lied to the American people and said that he was going to resolve the war, the unlawful invasion by Russia in 24 hours, Donald Trump's like, we're making great progress. They're going to meet in Turkey on Thursday and things are going to be great. Here, play this clip.
I've also been working relentlessly to end the terrible bloodshed between Russia and Ukraine, and very importantly, talks are being held in Turkey later this week, probably on Thursday. And
you think that's what's going to happen, Donald? Because Russia has already now called the Thursday meeting that it suggested propaganda and theater by Zelensky. Zelensky has agreed to an unconditional ceasefire. On the one hand, Zelensky, unconditional ceasefire. On the other hand, Vladimir Putin, war. But Donald Trump, you treat them equally, huh? Ridiculous. That's what went down in Saudi Arabia. Donald Trump keeps grifting and accepting bribes. Call him out for what they are. And you judge for yourself how he looks and behaves there. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.